Welcome. Thanks for joining this talk and short guided meditation this evening. Tonight, I want to talk to you about blue lights, tell you a short story, and then do a short guided meditation on self compassion. The blue lights I'm talking about, I watch a lot of Law and Order SVU. So they're always at the crime scenes looking with those blue lights at the crime scene to see what they can find. And it's amazing what they can see with those blue lights that the naked eye can't see. And no matter how much the person tried to scrub away the evidence, with those blue lights, they can always find pieces of evidence in the cracks and crevices and on the walls and places that the naked eye wouldn't be able to see. And I got to thinking about those blue crime scene lights because I wish we could have lights like that to scan our own bodies, to see the things that we can't see in our own consciousness with our own eyes, the things that are in our bodies that are evidence of these old wounds, these wounds that we walk around with and for the most part are really unconscious of. And yet these wounds are often scabbed over, and it doesn't take much for the little scab to get scratched off, and then the wound is reopened, and oftentimes we don't even know why. The reason I was thinking about this is because recently a friend of mine posted something that actually reminded me of an incident that occurred when I was in elementary school. So I want to tell you this short story. And the reason I wanted to share this is because it's not something that I was really aware of over the last 40 some years that was really manifesting as one of those old wounds. Something that I didn't realize because I hadn't been able to shine that blue light on it. So let me take you back just real briefly to about 1979, 1980. And I'm about 7 or 8 years old. I'm in elementary school, probably second or third grade. And I have a goofy permed hair. I had a perm with the curls, and I have big, huge glasses with a little bunny sticker in the bottom corner. And although I'm not sure what I was wearing this particular day, I'm probably wearing one of my favorite outfits, which was this lavender sweater with a purple plaid shirt underneath with a little ruffly collar and a purple ribbon that is tied in a bow because that was a fashionable thing back in Nebraska. So here I am with my permed hair and my big glasses and my purple sweater, and I walk out to go to recess and find my best friend on the playground. And I'm walking up to the playground and I see my best friend, and I go up to play with her, and she turns her back to me. And I'm trying to talk to her. I'm trying to get her attention. I'm saying her name, and she just keeps turning her back on me and walking away. And then she's telling the other girls, "Ignore her, ignore her, don't play with her." And this is my best friend. And I'm just so confused about what's happening. And so I keep asking her and begging her, "What are you doing? Why are you ignoring me? Why won't you play with me?" And she won't even talk to me. She won't even look at me. And as I think back about that, it's a pretty clear image in my mind. But what's even clearer is the emotion that I was feeling at the time that's still very much with me. These emotions and feelings of confusion and deep hurt. And most of all, what's going through my mind is I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything to her. Why is she being so mean to me? I have, over the last 40 some years thought about that occasionally, but I've always kind of poo-pooed it away because I just didn't think it was a big deal. I just thought it was one of those things that this is what kids do. Kids are mean, especially in elementary school. So this has recently come up just in the last couple of days because I think I really underestimated the impact that that singular little event really had on me over the last 40 some years. Because standing there on the playground, this little girl with her permed hair and her big glasses and her purple sweater, hurt and confused and very much alone. Those feelings are still very much in me. I can feel them as much today as I felt them when I was 7 or 8 years old. I am guessing that no matter how old you are, there is something in your past, either a long time ago or fairly recently, that has left a similar wound for you. Something that it could be something very traumatic, but it could also be something that at the time you just chalked up as really insignificant. That, oh, well, this is just something that happened. This is just what people do. I know probably in my situation, I probably didn't even tell my mom about it. And I remember a day or two later, my best friend came back to me and she said, "Okay, I'm ready to be friends with you again." And I asked her, "Well, why didn't you want to be friends with me?" And she was like, "I just didn't feel like it. I hadn't done anything wrong." And yet I felt very much like I did something wrong. Of course I did, right? Like, why would anybody treat you like that if you hadn't done something wrong? This is what was going on in my mind at the time. But I hadn't done anything wrong. In fact, she all but said, "I didn't do anything wrong. I just didn't want to play with you anymore. I just wanted to be mean to you and treat you this way." So if I'd had one of these blue lights and shine it on me, which is kind of what I've been doing the past couple of days once this situation came into my awareness in a different way, I've realized how that wound has allowed me to be triggered by things throughout life whenever I feel like I have been dismissed, whenever somebody's mean to me, and when I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. What did I do here? And yet I'm running over and over and over in my head. Well, I had to have done something. Why else would they be mean to me? Why else would they be dismissing me? And the reason this came up and why I've started really reflecting on this is because I had a simple text message in the last couple of days that I interpreted as dismissive and mean. And I noticed that right away I was triggered by that. And of course, now as an adult, I'm triggered and I'm pissed. And my reaction, my knee jerk reaction, is to want to reach out to the person and say, "What's going on with you? This text message was really dismissive. I interpreted it as very mean." But because of my mindfulness practice, I knew to hit pause on responding and I kind of let it percolate. And so this is all kind of now coming full circle because what I realized, the synchronicity of that childhood event coming into my awareness recently and this text message triggering me because I thought it was mean and dismissive, they kind of came together and I was finally able to shine that blue light on myself and see the evidence of that wound still there, that scab that I had no idea was lurking beneath the surface. Something that I probably thought at the time, given my good old Nebraska upbringing, like, "Suck it up, Cupcake. It's not that bad. Like, you're friends with her now." And that's the thing. I took her back as my friend. I didn't I didn't tell her, "Too bad. You don't get to come back and be my friend after treating me that way." No, I was 7 or 8 years old. Of course I'm gonna take her back as my friend. So, while there are a lot of issues that this could bring up, a lot of different triggers, a lot of different reactions, What I want to focus on tonight with that story and what I've been reflecting on the last couple of days is that hurt part of me needs some love and compassion. And so this is the last thing I want to talk about is bringing compassion to yourself, whether you know what the source of the wound is or not. Maybe even whether you know what the wound is and where it is, maybe you just know something beneath the surface isn't quite right. When we learn to practice self compassion, and that's exactly what it is, it's a practice, it's not a quick fix, it's not therapy. When we learn to practice self compassion, we can start to bring awareness to those wounds, those hurts, those parts of us that are really crying out to be acknowledged. And then once we've brought that awareness, we can bring in these practices of treating ourselves like we would treat a good friend, because that's what self compassion is. We bring love, kindness, understanding, care to ourselves like we would bring to a good friend. And understandably, that can be difficult because, especially in the United States, we are not conditioned to believe that we should be compassionate to ourselves. And I won't get into all of that tonight. I'll be doing some things in the next coming weeks to kind of talk about self compassion, the myths around self compassion. So for tonight, I just want to plant the seed for you to find where in yourself do you want to shine that blue light of awareness to something that might need some kindness. Now, I want to be clear that the meditation tonight is not an invitation to go trying to dig up stuff. There are some issues associated with that, again, I'll talk about in a few weeks. Tonight's practice is really designed to be an invitation for you if you are experiencing any kind of suffering right now. And my encouragement for you is to not minimize your suffering. I could have looked at this one incident and thought, this is just something silly. This was not a huge traumatic thing. Some kid on the playground was mean to me. Get over it. But it left an impact because of the message that it sent me, that I could be somebody who somebody would just be mean to and dismiss, even when I didn't do anything wrong. So I encourage you to, whatever amount of suffering you might be experiencing, to not minimize it because you think maybe somebody else has it worse. For this practice, I invite you to crack open the door just a little bit of giving yourself some kindness and love like a friend would for you and like you would do for a friend. I want to first explain that there are kind of three elements to self compassion, and then I'm going to take us through a brief guided self compassion practice. When we talk about self compassion, we're really talking about three things. The first is that we're again bringing awareness to the fact that we are experiencing a moment of suffering, whatever that looks like for us, wherever we are, however it feels. If it feels icky, hard, tough, sad, it's a moment of suffering. So the first piece is recognizing that awareness of this is a moment of suffering. And the second piece, because that suffering can feel so lonely, isolating, just like me, that little girl on the playground, feeling so lonely. Nobody else was playing with me. I was standing there all alone in my suffering. Because our suffering can feel so personal and so lonely, we want to remember that everyone experiences pain. If we can remember that pain is a shared common humanity, we can remember that We are not alone. We are not alone when we experience that pain. But if we keep thinking that I am alone, nobody knows what I'm going through, we're kind of piling on to that, the pain of the event, the pain of the isolation, and we're really exacerbating our suffering. So try to remember that pain is a shared common experience and you are not alone. And then the third element of self-compassion is offering yourself that kindness, that love, caring that either you've experienced other people giving you or that you've given to other people when you see they're in pain. And that can be a soothing touch, some kind of gesture. Maybe it's placing a hand on your heart or on your stomach, maybe even giving yourself a hug or holding your hands together. It can be offering yourself phrases, and I'll walk you through some phrases that you might use, but finding some phrases that give you some level of comfort. So, those are the three elements of self compassion. And I want to just say one last thing, the reminder that this is a practice. We don't offer self compassion to these hurt parts of us to try to fix them or even necessarily to try to heal them. And we're not flipping a light switch. This isn't going to happen overnight. But when we bring the practice of self compassion, even if we set the intention to want to feel kind and loving toward ourselves, we can start to crack open that door bit by bit. And so, by planting that seed, that intention of self compassion, we can start to change our relationship to that hurt, to that pain. We can allow space for it and bring this kind, gentle awareness to it. And in doing so, with practice again, I can't say that enough, we can maybe start to understand how we're triggered by things that sort of scratch that scab off of that wound and how we react in moments instead of pausing and responding. And we can start to change our relationship not only with that hurt, but with events that trigger that hurt. So, with that, I invite you tonight to, unless you're driving, don't maybe try not to do this if you're driving. I'll have a recording of this on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you would like to join my email list, please send me an email and I'll send a recording of it as well. But if you're anyplace else and you can find a place where you can just sit down or lie down, I encourage you to take a few moments to get comfortable, and I'll give you a second to do that while I grab a drink, and then we'll get started with our meditation. So as you're getting comfortable, go ahead and close down your eyes if that feels comfortable and supportive for you, or you can look down toward the floor, putting down anything that might be in your hands, allowing yourself these few moments as a gift to yourself. Noticing wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying down or even standing, what it feels like to have your feet planted on the ground, maybe your bottom on the seat cushion. Collecting your awareness and noticing, what does it feel like right now to just be here, sitting, lying down. And turning your awareness now to your breath. Let's take a deep inhale and exhale together. Inhaling through the nose, noticing the rise of the belly, the chest, and exhaling slowly and gently through the mouth. And another inhale, maybe a little more deeply this time through the nose, Filling up the belly, feeling the chest expand, and pausing for just a moment. And then exhaling gently and slowly through the mouth, noticing how the belly and the chest collapse and the air passes between the lips. And one more deep breath through the nose, making this your deepest breath yet today, this gift of the breath that gives you life. And then exhaling, maybe with a sigh, letting it all out, forcing all of the air out that you can comfortably, inviting any tension that might want to soften or release to do so. And now letting your breath return to normal, whatever that looks like for you today. There's no need to try and control the breath, but you might notice that it does respond to your attention. You might notice taking a little bit deeper inhale and exhale, and that's okay. But there's no need to try and make the breath be any particular way. And inviting you now to bring to mind something you've experienced lately that maybe triggered a past memory, something maybe just slightly painful, not too traumatic to start with, but something that brought some type of pain or discomfort into your life. Maybe it's a distant memory or something more recent. And as you're thinking of this situation, noticing how your body is responding, how your body is feeling as you're remembering this situation that triggered this discomfort or pain within you. Scanning your body gently from head to toe. Noticing, is there any furrowing in your brow, tension in your eyes, clenching of the jaw, any tightness in the neck or shoulders. Scanning briefly and gently down through the body to see where your body might be responding to this pain or discomfort. Noticing where this pain might live in your body. And what does it feel like? Is it tension or tingling, uneasiness? And if at any time it becomes too much, that's okay. It's a kind thing to do for ourselves to recognize when there's just too much pain right now, and you can allow yourself to back out of it and return your awareness to your breath, following the gentle inhale and exhale. But if you're able, continuing to scan down the body all the way down to the toes, noticing anywhere that this pain might live in your body. And as you come to the bottom of your toes, bringing your awareness now back to your breath. And recognizing first that this is a moment of suffering for you. Whatever has triggered this pain or discomfort, and wherever it lives for you in your body, bring that light of awareness to recognize that this is a moment of suffering for me. And then remembering that you are not alone. Your pain is uniquely yours, and everyone, every human being experiences pain. Experiencing this pain, discomfort, Unpleasantness is a shared experience that all human beings will have. So know that if you're experiencing pain, so too is someone else. And you are not alone. You are not alone. And now I invite you to offer yourself a kind, caring, or loving gesture. Maybe that's placing a hand on the place where you feel that pain or hurt. Maybe it's holding your hands together. And if some type of physical touch isn't comfortable, that's okay. We're not trying to force anything here. And finding some phrase that you can whisper softly to yourself in your mind that extends you some love and kindness. It may be something like, "May I accept myself just as I am." Or, "May I show myself kindness." Or you may even want to simply say, "I am here. I am here." Whatever phrases might be comfortable for you, repeating those gently and softly to yourself. And if this feels difficult, that's normal. And to start to break open that door of compassion, you might imagine someone who really loves you, or even a pet, offering you kindness and love. Maybe through a hug or their own words of kindness and love. Something that allows you to feel held and supported. Repeating your phrases to yourself or imagining someone saying them to you. And if any of this is still difficult, you can whisper to yourself, "I want to feel love and kindness for myself." And plant that seed to grow for compassion toward you and the pain that you're experiencing. Now take another deep inhale, releasing your gesture, releasing the phrases, and exhaling, allowing this practice to settle however it needs to settle for you. And when you're ready, you can gently blink your eyes open, noticing the light coming into the room or sounds you might hear around you. And taking a moment to reflect on how this practice felt for you. If it felt clunky and uncomfortable, that's okay. Totally normal. This is why it's a practice. The first time you ever go to the gym, or the first time you go back to the gym after taking a long break, it feels really uncomfortable. We're training your self-compassion muscle. So keep coming back to the practice. Set the intention to be willing to shine that blue light of awareness on yourself and giving those old wounds, those scabs, the love and kindness that they've been wanting. Thank you so much, and I hope that you all continue to stay safe and well.